Hello, everyone, and welcome to Seven Continents, One Story.
Hi there. So glad you're joining us today.
Hey everyone, great to have you here.
I'm Nils, professor of history from Sweden.
I'm Celine, joining you from Edinburgh, Scotland.
And I'm Ethan, calling in from Malta.
Together, we explore incredible stories from history across all 7 continents.
Every episode brings you a new journey through time.
From ancient civilizations to modern moments that changed everything.
So let's begin.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 7 Continents, One Story.
Celine, Ethan, how are you both today?
I'm wonderful, thanks. Been reading up on this week's episode all week.
I'm doing great. This topic looks really interesting.
Excellent. I can already tell this is going to be special. South America this week, and what a story we have.
What have you got for us, Nils?
I'm glad you asked. I have something here that's a genuine mystery. Right. I have a challenge for both of you today.
Ooh, what kind of challenge?
I have a document here. Well, a replica of one. And there's a mystery attached to it that has baffled historians for over 100 years.
100 years? That's quite a mystery.
This document was created in 1816. Only 1,500 copies were made. And the original? It's completely disappeared.
Wait, disappeared? Like someone stole it?
Nobody knows. Presidents have searched for it. Historians have hunted for it. It just vanished.
That's fascinating. What kind of document disappears like that?
Let me describe it. It's a printed document, slightly yellowed with age. Elegant Spanish script covers the page. It was created in August 1816, just 1 month after a momentous event.
A momentous event in South America?
Exactly, Ethan. Only 1,500 copies were made, and most have disappeared over the past 200 years. But here's the most mysterious part. The original handwritten version has vanished completely.
So the original is missing, but some of the printed copies survive?
Precisely. And when one of these printed copies is found today, it makes national news. In fact, in 2023, Argentine customs recovered one that someone was trying to smuggle out of the country.
That's so cool, but what was the document about?
Let me take you there. The year is 1816. It's July 9th. You're in the city of San Miguel de Tucumán in northwest Argentina. The summer sun beats down on the colonial town. Inside a modest house with whitewashed walls and a red-tiled roof, 33 men are gathered around a wooden table. They've been debating for 9 hours. 9 hours of passionate argument, careful deliberation, weighing every word. The air is thick with tension. Everyone in this room knows what they're about to do. They're about to commit treason.
Treason against Spain?
Against Spain, yes. Against the Spanish crown. Against 300 years of colonial rule. And if Spain wins, every man in this room will be executed.
That's incredibly brave.
Or incredibly desperate, or both. But before we get to that decision, we need to understand how they got here.
Okay, so Argentina in 1816. Can you set the scene for us?
Absolutely. Argentina was part of the Spanish Empire for almost 300 years. Since 1580, when Buenos Aires was founded, this region had been ruled from Madrid through a viceroy appointed by the Spanish king.
So, like how Scotland was ruled from London for centuries?
Similar concept, yes. Though the distance was even greater. Imagine trying to govern from across the Atlantic Ocean with 18th century communication.
That must have been really difficult. How did they even manage it?
Well, for a long time, they didn't need to manage it very closely. Buenos Aires was relatively unimportant. But then, in 1808, something happened in Europe that changed everything.
Napoleon?
Exactly, Celine. Napoleon invaded Spain. He captured King Ferdinand VII. Suddenly, the entire Spanish Empire was in chaos. If Spain itself was occupied by France, who had the right to rule Spanish colonies in America.
Oh, so it's like when the head of the empire disappears, everyone starts questioning who's in charge?
Perfect analogy, Ethan. And the colonists in Buenos Aires had already proven they could defend themselves without Spanish help.
How did they prove that?
In 1806 and 1807, the British tried to invade Buenos Aires twice, and local militia, led by Creole officers, defeated them both times. The Spanish viceroy literally fled the city without fighting. The locals had to save themselves.
So they're like, we don't need Spain to protect us?
Exactly. And that realization is powerful. By May of 1810, when news arrived that Seville had fallen to the French, the people of Buenos Aires had had enough. They established their own local government.
But they waited 6 more years to declare independence?
Brilliant observation, Celine. They governed themselves from 1810 onward, but they kept the fiction that they were doing it on behalf of King Ferdinand VII. It took 6 years of war to finally abandon that fiction.
So what happened in 1816? Why declare independence then?
By 1816, the situation was urgent. Ferdinand VII had been restored to the Spanish throne in 1814. He was sending armies to reconquer the American colonies. Several independence movements in South America had already been crushed.
So if they didn't act soon, they might not get another chance?
Precisely. So they called a Congress. Representatives from across the United Provinces of the Rio de la Plata, what we'd call Argentina today, gathered in Tucumán.
Why Tucumán? Why not the capital?
Buenos Aires was too exposed to potential Spanish attack. Tucumán was inland, safer, more defensible. And there was a house there, a colonial house owned by a widow named Francisca Bazán de Laguna.
A woman owned the house?
She did. Her house became the meeting place for the Congress. For months, these 33 delegates met in her home to debate the future of the nation. Now, about this mysterious document. It was printed by order of Supreme Director Juan Martín de Pueyrredón to inform Argentina and the world of a historic decision.
The Independence Declaration?
Yes, but here's what makes it fascinating. The document contains an amendment added in a secret session on July 19, 1816. A deputy named Pedro Medrano requested to add that they would be independent not just from Spain, but from any other foreign domination.
Any other foreign domination? That's quite bold.
It is. They weren't just breaking free from Spain. They were declaring that no foreign power would ever rule them. And only a few dozen copies of this document survive today in museums.
That makes them incredibly valuable.
National treasures. Literally. When one was found in 2023, customs agents prevented it from leaving the country. The head of customs said they'd recovered a fundamental piece of national heritage. So we're in Tucumán in 1816. 33 delegates representing the provinces. Each delegate represents approximately 15,000 inhabitants.
Who were these delegates? What kind of men?
Lawyers, priests, merchants, military officers, Creoles, people born in America of Spanish descent. Men like Francisco Narciso de la Prida from San Juan province, who would serve as president of the Congress. Men like Pedro Medrano, the deputy who would push for that secret amendment.
Were there any disagreements among them?
Oh, absolutely. Remember, not all the provinces even sent delegates. The Federal League provinces, led by José Hervesio Artigas, refused to participate. They wanted a democratic federalist system. The Buenos Aires elite wanted a centralized government.
So even as they're declaring independence, there are already tensions about what kind of nation they'll become?
Exactly, Celine. These tensions would plague Argentina for the next 60 years. Civil wars, political conflicts, all rooted in this fundamental disagreement.
So what were they debating for 9 hours?
They debated the wording, the implications, the consequences. Some wanted to wait. Spain was still powerful. Declaring independence meant certain war.
But they'd already been fighting for 6 years.
True. Since 1810, they'd been at war with royalist forces. General Manuel Belgrano had won crucial battles at Tucumán and Salta, stopping the royalists from advancing south.
Wait, the Battle of Tucumán happened in the same city where they're declaring independence?
Excellent connection, Ethan. Yes, in 1812, Belgrano defeated a much larger royalist army right outside Tucumán. That victory secured the Northwest and made this Congress possible.
Can we talk more about Francisca Bazán de Laguna? It's not every day a woman's house becomes the birthplace of a nation.
I'm glad you asked about her. Francisca was a widow. She owned this colonial house built at the end of the 18th century. It had courtyards, whitewashed walls, typical colonial architecture.
Did she just offer her house, or did they ask her?
The records don't tell us exactly how it happened, but think about what she was doing. She was opening her home to men who were committing treason. If Spain had won, her house would be confiscated. She would likely be punished, possibly executed.
That's incredible courage for someone who isn't even mentioned in most history books.
Precisely. For months, Her house was the center of revolutionary politics. These 33 men met in her rooms, debated in her halls, made decisions that would change South America, and she provided the space for all of it. The document we've been discussing begins with these words: En la benemerita y muy digna ciudad de San Miguel de Tucumán, a 9 días del mes de julio. In the most worthy and dignified city of San Miguel de Tucumán on the 9th day of July.
That's the Declaration of Independence.
Yes. This is one of the 1,500 original printed copies of Argentina's Declaration of Independence. The handwritten original, signed by all 33 delegates, disappeared mysteriously. Searches in 1916 and 1966 found nothing.
How does something that important just disappear?
Nobody knows. Was it stolen shortly after it was signed? Did it vanish decades later? It's one of the great mysteries of Argentine history. These printed copies, made 1 month after the signing, are now considered the only surviving original versions.
That's so cool, a mystery that's never been solved.
July 9th, 1816. The Congress has been meeting for months. They've debated everything: form of government, foreign relations, military strategy. But now they face the ultimate question.
Will they declare independence?
Exactly. The delegates gather in the main room, the Salón de la Jura, the Hall of the Oath, the same room where we can visit today in the museum, the same wooden table, the same chairs.
Wait, the actual furniture is still there?
Yes, Ethan. The table where the Declaration was signed, the chairs where the congressmen sat. When I visited the museum, I stood in that room. You can feel the weight of history. That room is preserved exactly as it was in 1816.
That's remarkable.
The President of the Congress asks the question, do you wish that the provinces of the Union should be a free and independent nation of the kings of Spain and their metropolis? One by one, the delegates respond, acclaiming first, filled with the holy ardor of justice. Then one by one, they reiterate their unanimous and spontaneous vote for the independence of the country.
Unanimous.
Every single delegate voted yes, not one dissenting voice. They knew what it meant: war, possible death. But they voted for freedom anyway.
That must have been such a powerful moment.
And then they did something remarkable. They drafted the formal declaration. They invoked the eternal that presides over the universe. They protested to heaven, to the nations and all the men of the globe, the justice that governs their votes.
What did it say?
We, the representatives of the United Provinces in South America, gathered in General Congress, solemnly declare to the face of the earth that it is the unanimous and indubitable will of these provinces to break the violent bonds that connected them to the kings of Spain, to recover the rights of which they were despoiled, and to assume the high character of a free and independent nation. Free from King Ferdinand VII, his successors, and the metropolis. And thanks to Pedro Madrono's secret amendment, free from any other foreign domination.
So let's think about this decision. It's July 9th, 1816. You're one of those 33 delegates. You've been debating for 9 hours.
And you know that declaring independence means war?
You know that Spain is regaining strength. Ferdinand VII is back on his throne. He's already sent armies that crushed independence movements in Venezuela and New Granada. If you declare independence and lose, you will be executed for treason.
Your family could be punished, your property confiscated, everything you have at risk.
So here's the question. What would you do? Would you vote for independence knowing it means certain war and possible death? Or would you vote to stay under Spain, wait for a better moment, try to negotiate autonomy instead? Honestly, I think I'd wait. 9 hours of debate doesn't seem like enough time to decide the fate of millions of people. What if we lose the war? What if Spain reconquers us and it's even worse than before? I'd want to negotiate first, try to get autonomy without declaring full independence. Why risk everything?
But Ethan, they'd already been fighting since 1810, 6 years of war. They'd already committed treason by establishing their own government. At some point, you have to formalize what you're already doing. Staying in limbo, pretending loyalty to Ferdinand while fighting his armies, that's not sustainable.
But what about timing? Maybe 1816 isn't the right moment. Maybe they should wait until Spain is weaker.
Here's the challenge, though. The delegates knew that Spain was getting stronger, not weaker. Ferdinand had been restored to the throne in 1814. The Napoleonic Wars were over. Spain could now focus all its resources on reconquering America.
Exactly. If they didn't act now, they might never get another chance. Spain had already crushed independence movements elsewhere. The window was closing.
I guess I see that. But the risk...
The risk was enormous, but they'd already taken it. Every day they governed themselves was an act of treason. They couldn't go back. Ferdinand would never forgive them for 1810, so they could either commit fully to independence or wait to be crushed.
It's not really a choice between safety and risk. It's a choice between two different risks: declare independence and fight openly, or pretend loyalty while Spain gathers strength.
When you put it that way, maybe declaring independence is actually the safer option?
Not safer in the immediate sense, but strategically, it gave them international legitimacy. They could seek recognition from other nations. They could justify José de San Martin's military campaigns to liberate Chile and Peru. Without a formal declaration, they're just rebels. With it, they're a nation. The delegates understood this. That's why the vote was unanimous. They chose independence. Not because they weren't afraid, not because they were certain of victory, but because they understood the moment.
What happened after the vote?
They signed the declaration, all 33 of them. Then Juan Martín de Pueyrredón, the Supreme Director, ordered 1,500 copies printed. He sent them throughout the provinces, sent them abroad to Britain, to Portugal, to the United States. He wanted the world to know Argentina was free and independent.
And they won the war?
Eventually, yes. But it took years. José de San Martín led an army across the Andes Mountains to liberate Chile in 1818. Then he sailed to Peru and helped liberate it from Spain in 1821. The Declaration of 1816 provided the political legitimacy for all of that. But remember Francisca Bazán de Laguna, the woman who owned the house?
What happened to her?
Her house became a national symbol. The room where independence was declared, the Salón de la Jura, the Hall of the Oath, remains intact to this day. It's the only room of the original house that's been preserved exactly as it was in 1816.
They preserved her house?
They did. The house was partially demolished in 1874, but the Hall of the Oath was protected. It was reconstructed in the 20th century and declared a National Historic Monument in 1941. Today, it's the Cage SA013 de la Independencia, one of the most important museums in Argentina.
But Francis herself, is she remembered?
Not as much as she should be. Most accounts of the Congress barely mention her. But think about what she did. She opened her home to 33 men committing treason. For months, her house was the center of revolutionary politics. If Spain had won, she would have lost everything. Her home, possibly her life.
She risked everything for independence, but she's not in the history books.
Which is why we're telling her story now. Without Francisca Bazán de Laguna's courage and willingness to risk her home, the Congress of Tucumán would have had nowhere to meet. The declaration might never have happened, or it might have happened somewhere else at a different time. Her quiet courage made history possible.
That's beautiful.
The Declaration of Argentine Independence changed South America. Within 5 years, most of Spanish South America would be free.
How did it influence other countries?
The success of Argentina inspired other independence movements. José de San Martin's liberation of Chile and Peru showed it was possible to defeat Spain. Simón Bolívar in the north, José de San Martín in the south. Together, they freed a continent.
It's similar to how the American Revolution inspired the French Revolution, isn't it?
Excellent parallel, Celine. Yes, independence movements inspire each other. Once one colony breaks free successfully, others realize they can do it too.
What does this teach us today?
Several things. First, timing matters. The delegates understood that opportunities don't last forever. If they waited, Spain might have been too strong to defeat.
Second, sometimes you have to commit fully. They couldn't keep pretending loyalty to Ferdinand while fighting his armies. At some point, you have to be honest about what you're doing.
And third, courage isn't just about soldiers and generals. It's also about someone like Francisca, opening her house and saying, use this space to change the world.
Beautifully put, Ethan. Revolution requires many kinds of courage.
The declaration was translated into Quechua and Aymara indigenous languages to reach all the people of the United Provinces.
Really? That's so cool.
Yes. The Congress recognized that Argentina wasn't just Spanish-speaking colonists. Indigenous peoples were part of this new nation too. Whether they were truly included in practice is another question, but the symbolic gesture mattered.
And the fact that the original handwritten declaration disappeared, that's still such a mystery.
It is. Presidents ordered searches in 1916 for the centennial and again in 1966 for the sesquicentennial. Nothing. Somewhere in Argentina, that original document might still exist, hidden away, waiting to be found.
That would be an incredible discovery.
It would be one of the greatest archaeological finds in Argentine history. Until then, we have these 1,500 printed copies, or rather, the few dozen that survive, each one a national treasure.
And in 2023, Customs found one of these copies being smuggled out of the country?
They did. Someone was trying to export it illegally. Customs agents stopped them, recovered the document. The head of Customs said they'd prevented a fundamental part of Argentine history from leaving the country.
So even today, more than 200 years later, these documents are still important, still protected.
Because they represent the moment Argentina became a nation. The moment 33 delegates in Francisca Bazán de Laguna's house decided to risk everything for freedom. That moment still resonates. So, what did we learn today?
We learned about the Congress of Tucumán in 1816, where 33 delegates declared independence from Spain.
We learned about the 9-hour debate on July 9th and the unanimous vote for freedom.
We learned about the mysterious disappearance of the original handwritten declaration and the 1,500 printed copies that survive as national treasures.
And we learned about Francisca Bazán de Laguna, the widow who opened her house to revolution.
That's the person I want us to remember. History remembers the delegates. We know their names, their votes, their speeches. But we should also remember the woman who gave them the space to make history.
She risked everything, her home, her safety, possibly her life, to host that Congress.
Without her, they might not have had a place to meet.
Exactly. So remember Francisca Bazán de Laguna. Remember that courage comes in many forms. Remember that revolution isn't just made by generals and politicians, but by ordinary people who say, use my house, make history here. Remember Francisca Bazán de Laguna. Remember the name.
What strikes me most is the risk they all took. The delegates knew they might die. Francisca knew she might lose everything, but they did it anyway.
Because some things are worth the risk.
Because they understood the moment. They understood that freedom was worth fighting for, even if the outcome was uncertain. That's what courage really is. Not the absence of fear, but acting despite it.
Hey, what would you have done in that situation? Would you have voted for independence? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments.
And if you don't want to miss any episodes, make sure to follow us or subscribe.
You can also sign up for our email newsletter to stay updated.
We're already working on something really exciting for next time.
It could be from any continent, any time period.
That's the beauty of 7 continents, 1 story. You never know where history will take us next. Until our next journey through time, keep history alive.